I'm Monika Harrison with McEnearney Associates, and I'm here today with John Wolford, the managing broker of our McLean office. John has over 30 years of experience in the real estate world. And this week we had our business meeting in which we discussed the marketplace and seasonal markets. And John was so brilliant in that meeting that we thought we should put this on video so that we could share it with our buyers and sellers.
Wow.
So John, let's talk a little bit about what we talked about at that meeting. Is there such a thing as a seasonal real estate market?
Absolutely. Yeah. What we spoke about at this meeting, this is, we are just after the 4th of July break. And so as we came out of that 4th of July break, we talked about what's going to happen in the next few weeks coming up and how should our sellers best take advantage of that and what should their concerns be. So there are seasonal patterns. And the first part of the year, in January and February, we experience the lowest inventory that we're going to have every year. Every year inventory drops off in the fall, and we start at the bottom and it starts to grow. So we have low inventory, but we have a lot of buyer interest. Buyers come out, not a lot of homes to see. That's why they flock to all the open houses, and we get 20, 30, 40, 50 people at an open house early in the spring. As the inventory starts to come on the market, and as some of those buyers start to buy, the heats up a little bit, and most of our contracts take place in March, April, May, and really up to just about Father's Day every year. That's the peak season for contracts. Once we hit Father's Day, everyone takes a little vacation. And we have weddings, we have graduations, we have folks, heading off to the beach. And so we just have a little pause in the market that normally takes place between Father's Day and the 4th of July, or the week after the 4th of July. Once they come back, we get a surge from folks who need to buy, contract, close, and get in before
school starts.
That's right. So this is the period of time where we want to take advantage of those folks. After this period ends, which really is somewhere in the first couple weeks of July, really. Because remember, if you contract early in July or mid-July, you still have a chance of settling by mid-August.
And moving in.
And, you get into your home, you want to have a little bit of time to get it fixed up and kid stuff put away before you pack them off for school on September 1st.
So we know, though, that not every property has to do with schools and kids. We've got condos that maybe people are not having children at that point, or smaller homes that maybe their children have gone off and gone elsewhere. But the fact is we're halfway through this calendar year.
That's right.
And from what it sounds like, we're well through the spring market and ready to go into perhaps a more stable rather than growing market.
Yes, already entered that.
So if we are a seller who has had a property on the market for quite some time, and unfortunately we haven't sold our property, what advice would you give them?
Well, a seller who's had their home on the market for a long period of time in any market, spring, summer, or fall, they need to do something with their property to get it sold, and generally it's change the price. It's change the price or change the condition. We can't change the location.
Right.
So it's price. Now, difference seasonally is that in the spring, if we've overpriced our property, the prices might rise up a little bit to reach our price. So we don't have to be as concerned about overpricing our property in the spring. But once we've hit that Father's Day time frame where the number of contracts backs off.
So the strategy of hope doesn't work anymore.
Doesn't work at all because your inventory is at its greatest peak in August, September, and your buyers are already dropping off dramatically. So you can expect the prices are going to drop. And overpricing your home in a market where prices are dropping only causes more distance between your price and the real value based on the marketplace.
I always tell my sellers that it's important to write price at the very moment of listing. This notion of let's price it a bit higher and let's try it for a month or two, I don't think is a particularly successful strategy. Certainly I think it's good to try always to achieve the highest price that we can get for any property, given its location, condition, and price point. But it sounds to me like the thing that sellers right now ought to be doing is truly realistically assessing their competition. and looking at their home, perhaps as an appraiser might look at their home. How many bedrooms does this one have when all the other ones have had perhaps one more? Do I have stainless and granite? And do I have the things that buyers are looking for? Or do I simply have a really, really nice house on a really, really nice lot, but perhaps for whatever reason will command a little bit lower price? A realtor who's knowledgeable, and someone like you who has so many years of experience across markets, can help a seller detach a bit and become less emotional and understand that the way to sell their home in any marketplace is to right price it.
No question. No question. You're going to get a better average to list price to sales price when you price it right, and you need to know what that average is.
Exactly.
You know, if we're getting 98% of the list price of a home, then we don't want to price our home at 5% over where the marketplace is, or we're guaranteeing ourselves that it's not going to sell.
So we not only don't get the higher price that we were looking for, we actually end up getting a lower price as our property sits on the market much longer. Yes?
No question, and especially in the fall. Especially in the fall. So it's really critical now to get your property priced correctly as quickly as possible. Otherwise, if you start lowering your prices as we move through the fall, you can just be chasing the market down.
All the way down.
Yeah.
So we've talked a lot about sellers. Let's talk about buyers for just a moment. If I am a buyer who is hoping to buy a house or who was planning to buy a house in 2015, what should I be doing now? Especially if there are perhaps small interest rates that might come.
Yeah, you know, I think a buyer needs to take a look at their situation, no matter where we are in the season and no matter what's happening in the marketplace. So, you know, definitely with regards to interest rates, there is concern that as the market continues to improve, year over year, we're going to see interest rates rise. And
so it's a great time to buy a house, and it's a great time to sell a right-priced and well-presented home any time of the year, no matter what the season.
And
is that
it really
right?
almost doesn't matter which price range you're speaking in. But, you know, in that first-time buyer's market, boy, you can buy a home as cheaply as you can rent a home today. And moving up, folks have a little bit of equity with an interest rate that's, you know, hovering right now around 3.75 or 4% for a fixed-rate mortgage. You can really get a great price on a home and maybe pay just about the same amount as you are in the home that you're living in.
Or actually even less. I had a sale close last week. My client had bought a small condo any number of years ago when interest rates were a bit higher. He wasn't able to refinance because he didn't have a lot of equity in it. We now bought him a much larger single-family home, and after all was said and done, he is actually paying several $100s less on this new and bigger home than he paid on his smaller condo purchased a number of years ago. He's a very, very happy both seller and buyer.
You know, and I'll bet he's really happy with you too. And let me just say that that's the value of working with a realtor. Not only do they find you the right home, but they help you to structure it so that it works out best for you, not only in the short term, but in the long term. Having a realtor who cares about you and gives you good advice based on you and not based on what's good for the realtor, that makes a difference.
And I think that's all of our objective, and it's of course what we try to do when we have business meetings and when we try to share this kind of information. What we're trying to say to our buyers and sellers is that your real estate priorities are our business, and we want to help you make the right buying and selling decision whatever time of year and in any year that you're looking to buy or sell.
Well said.
Thank you.